this is Unit 2. This is an introduction to Unit 2 about integers, and a lot of this beginning part should be familiar because you talked about positive and negative numbers last year, so this is going to be a little bit of a review to start with, just to refresh our minds. So you have this new packet that says Rational Numbers, Unit 2A, Adding and Subtracting Integers. This is page 1. Integers. The integers are a set of numbers that go on infinitely negatively, negative 4, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0, positive 1, positive 2, positive 3, positive 4, all the way through infinitely high to positively positive numbers. Integers greater than 0 are positive. So anything to the right of 0 is positive, and anything to the left of 0 is negative. Integers are all whole numbers, and their opposites. So the whole numbers are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and their opposites are negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6. So an opposite are two integers that are the exact same distance from 0, but in opposite directions on the number line. So the opposite of negative 3 is positive 3, and you don't have to put the sign. If you want to, you can. The opposite of 0 does not exist because 0 does not have a sign. The opposite of 9 is negative 9, and the opposite of negative 35 is positive 35. Again, you can put the positive sign or not. Absolute value. Absolute value, that symbol that looks like two lines on either side of the number, for instance, the absolute value of 5, that symbol, it means the distance a number is from 0 on the number line. Remember, distance is positive. You can't say that I'm negative 5'9", or my fan is negative 10 feet away from me, or that building is negative 480 feet tall. So absolute value is distance. The absolute value of 7 is 7. The absolute value of negative 5, how far away is negative 5? It's 5 units away from 0. The absolute value of 0, how far away is 0 from itself? It's 0 units away. So 0 has an absolute value. 0 does not have an opposite. Notice these two answers. The absolute value of negative 24, how far away is negative 24 from 0? Well, if you counted over there, it's 24, and you could keep going there, 24 units away from 0. So yes, negative 24 is 24 units, or 24 spaces, or 24 hops away from 0. Write an integer for each situation. 6 degrees Fahrenheit below 0. I'm just writing the integer. I'm not putting labels on it. 6 degrees Fahrenheit below 0, the integer, the number that would represent that is negative 6. A loss of 10 points, negative 10. A deposit of $30. Depositing money is like adding money to your account. A withdrawal of $250. That's a negative thing. It's like subtracting money from your account. Comparing and ordering integers. To compare and order integers, think of a number line as you see here. The farther to the right on the number line, the greater it is. And think about that number line when you were in first grade that maybe was taped across your desk. The farther you got away from 0, 10, 20, the bigger the number gets. The further to the right, the larger it is. 1,000, 1,000,000, a billion, a quadrillion. So numbers keep getting larger to the right, and they keep getting smaller to the left. For instance, 0 is left of 5. 0 is less than 5. Since 2 is to the right of negative 3, negative 3 is less than negative 2. Replace each circle with either a less than or greater than sign to make them true. Negative 3 is less than positive 3. Negative 2 is negative 2. Looking at this number line, negative 2 is to the right of negative 5. Negative 2 is actually larger than negative 5. Order the integers 0, 3, negative 1, negative 3, and 5 from least to greatest. Well, least is negative 3, then negative 1, then 0, then 3, and then 5. Hopefully you're remembering this. Replace each circle with a greater than or less than to make it true. I'm going to leave this bottom section for you to complete on your own, and we'll go over this in class when we get back together. So try this. Let's see if you can remember putting them in the proper order, least to greatest, and if you can fill in the correct symbol, less than or greater than. Read and study the lesson to answer each question. Tell why negative 7 and 5/10 is not an integer. Well, it's not an integer, as the lesson says, because it's not a whole number. Whole numbers do not have decimal or fractional parts. That 5/10 is what's making it not be an integer. Remember, integers are only whole numbers or its opposite. It's not a whole number because of that 5/10 there. Represent negative 6 using counters and using a number line. Well, negative 6, if I was drawing it, would look like counters are little circles. You could make squares if you wanted to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Negative 6, that's counters. I put a little negative symbol in all of them. And a number line. Well, on the number line, this would be 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6. Try to equally space them. This would be negative 6 on a number line. You decide. Connor says that the integers represented by A and B are opposites. Keisha thinks they are not. Who is correct? Opposites are equally distant from 0. From 0 on the number line. No, that's not right. Keisha is correct. They are not opposites. 7's opposite is negative 7. Negative 3's opposite is positive 3. And that's why, because it's not from 0. Keisha is correct. Because the numbers are not equally distant from 0. That's what opposites are. Tell how to determine when one integer is greater than another. The number to the right is always going to be larger on a number line. The number to the right. The number to the right on a number line is larger. It's always larger than the one on its left. Find the absolute value of x if x equals negative 10. So putting negative 10 into the absolute value symbol, how far away is that from 0? It's 10 units away from 0. What is the least positive integer? Positive 1 is the smallest positive integer. Number 7, if 0 is the greatest integer in a set of 5 integers, what can you conclude about the other 4 integers? So 0 is the biggest. Oh, they must all be negatives, right? For instance, I'm counting by negative 2 here. So the 4 other integers must be negative. Write the integer represented by the point for each letter, then find its opposite and its absolute value. So C is here at negative 4. Its opposite is positive 4, and its absolute value, the absolute value of negative 4, is 4. E is at 7, because it's halfway between 6 and 8. So E is 7. Its opposite is negative 7. And the absolute value of 7 is 7. Number 10. Marco dove off a 10-foot diving board into 12 feet of water and touched the bottom of the pool. Which integer describes the number of feet below the surface of the water that he dove? Well, he dove all the way down to the bottom of the pool and touched the bottom, so he's at negative 12 feet below the surface. The next page. Positive and negative numbers. With your partner, so we're going to do this in class, use the graphic organizer below to record what you know about positive and negative numbers. Add or remove statements during the whole class discussion. So we're going to do this in class, and we will finish page 4 and 5 in class. No, you don't have to do it right now on the video. If you want to try a couple of them, you can. But that's it for this video.